See if you don't like, comment, subscribe, or share this video. It means you're admitting to taking jobbies in your bath.
So, Transformers 1 was pretty awesome, eh? What a pleasant surprise after those truly abysmal initial trailers that painted our heroes as mentally retarded simpletons, all huffed up in glue. Fucking Badassatron was about as funny as passing a tangerine-sized kidney stone. Every time I heard Bumblebee say it, I wanted to rip out my eyes and jam my own feces in the empty sockets, just to escape the overwhelming cringe. Anyway, an aspect Transformers 1 absolutely nailed was integrating 40 years of lore into a remarkably cohesive story. There were so many nice wee nods, wasn't there? From Primus becoming Cybertron itself, the inclusion of the Quintessons, and the many, many cameos. It was abundantly clear that those who made this movie loved the Transformers franchise. For me, the moment that really straightened my pubes was when Orion Pax became Optimus Prime. It was orders of magnitude more epic than the rather mundane creation of Optimus in the G1 cartoon. What's that? You want to know how Optimus was created in the G1 cartoon? Well, you're in luck, buddy, because that's exactly what we're going to look at today. So what exactly is an Orion Pax? Why was he friends with Celine Dion? How did Orion escape from being an incel and get a girlfriend? To answer these questions, we'll need to travel back 9 million years to the golden age of Cybertron, just like the bumbling idiots, the Ariel bots, in a G1 cartoon episode, War Dawn. We begin the episode with the Ariel bots fawning over the Seekers and their aerial prowess. Surely these talented aviators couldn't be that bad, asked the Autobot simpletons. To find out, the Ariel bots asked for a ceasefire with the Decepticon trio, so they could have a nice wee chat. The Ariel bots were then suckered into a trap more easily recognisable than Puff Daddy brandishing a net alongside 5 African American sex workers handing out special cocktails from the back of a transit van filled with bottles of lube, and were sent to Cybertron's distant past. After having a wee wander around the seemingly idyllic version of Cybertron, the Ariel bot stumbled into a suspiciously red and blue twinkish dock worker named Orion Pax. Orion enthusiastically talked about these wonderful new flying robots, the Decepticons, stating just how cool he thought they were, despite his bestie Celine Dion warning him that they were very naughty sausages. Rather like the Ariel bot's fascination with the Seekers, eh? That kind of symmetry would make George Lucas cream his knickers.
It's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Orion, unfazed, insisted that there were Guardian robots to sort out any nasty fellas, and the mysterious new robots were surely nothing to worry about. Anyway, Orion also showed off his very pink girlfriend, Ariel. Oh, look how happy they look. Just 3 great friends. It would be truly terrible if a large bucket-headed maniac and his force of deceptive robot soldiers were to gun them all down. So, after the Ariel bots had left, a large bucket-headed maniac and his force of deceptive robot soldiers gunned them all down in a truly childhood-scarring massacre. Ah, miss the 80s. You see, Megatron suckered poor old Orion into telling him the warehouse he worked in was full of energon. A truly rookie error. Megatron got to have that energon, and 2 twinks Snickerl were not going to stand in his way. After returning to the scene of the carnage, the Ariel bots found the badly damaged Orion Pax and set out to find someone to repair him. They then ran into a young version of Robot Gandalf himself, Alpha Trion. Trion was unsure if he could repair the shattered young bot, but after some convincing, he decided to rebuild Orion from scratch. We then get the dramatic reveal. Trion had only built Pax into bloody Optimus Prime. Jeez, he wasn't kidding when he says he was going to rebuild him entirely. There must have been a lot of spare parts lying about to turn the diminutive Orion Pax into the swole Chad stud muffin Optimus Prime. Alpha Trion also vowed to do the same for Orion's girlfriend Ariel, stating that he might call her Alita 1. Oh, a wee Transformers 1 reference there, eh? From there, the Ariel bots learned their lesson about idolising the Decepticons, and they got dragged back through time to the present day, and yada yada yada. Shall we look at some toys? Let's start with Orion's two besties, Dion and Ariel, from the Legacy Dion 2-pack. Dion is looking pretty nice. He's a bit more slender than his depiction in the cartoon, mostly because he's a retool of the rickety old bastard Studio Series 86 Cup. I finally get to talk about this mould. It's shite. I mean, the robot mode is decent enough. It's posable and it looks alright in alt mode too. It's the transformation that's about as much fun as looking for a single jelly tot and a bucket of diarrhea with just your mouth. We're getting ahead of ourselves a bit though. I actually really do like this robot mode. There's a good amount of retooling from 86 Cup to make Dion his own character. The head sculpt is great, although a little bit more boyish than Dion's depiction in the cartoon. His chest sees the biggest retooling with this nice blue windscreen. I like how Dion is in iron blue colours, because I'm Scottish in that.
Like, does somebody not know how to flush a toilet after they've had a shit?
That's not me.
Well, it was fucking one of yes. Disgusting!
There's also these wee extra orange bits of nothing that attach to his backpack to complete his silhouette. They also peg together for some unknown reason. If you know why, leave a comment and I'll send you out a deep fried Mars bar. Dion still has Studio Series 86 Cup's dismemberment gimmick, so you can fully act out his grisly death. His arms were far too loose out of package though. They couldn't even overcome the force of gravity, so lifting heavy loads in a warehouse would have been a bit difficult. A wee tiny glab of superglue to the rescue, and now these arms aren't going anywhere, unless you actually want to rip them off. So why is transformation so bad? It's annoyingly fiddly, that's why. I love transformations with nice big chunky steps, with pieces that satisfyingly snap into place. That's what releases the dopamine. This mould is the opposite of that. Everything is so awkward, like these stupid hinges on these stupid arms. Dion's whole body folds into itself, whilst his arms go over his head and tab into his legs. Everything feels so squidgy, like these stupid leg panels. It's so unsatisfying. It isn't helped at all by the limb detaching gimmick. Because these arms peg overly securely into these leg flaps, they always pop off when you're trying to get back to robot mode. Shite. The actual alt mode is decent enough. I mean, it is just Studio Series 86 Cup again, with 2 extra plastic bits. Nothing like Dion's actual alt mode seen in the War Dawn episode. Dion is such an obscure character though, so we're unlikely to see him get another release. This is your lot, pal. Like it or lump it. There's a lot of speculation as to who Dion became. I mean, if Alpha Trion turned Orion into Optimus and Ariel into Alita, surely he fixed up Dion too. Maybe he became Ironhide. What about Cup? Maybe even Ultra Magnus? Nah, he was a third wheel in the Orion-Ariel dynamic. I think they'd be glad to be short of him. Poor Dion's corpse is probably still lying rotting in that warehouse to this day. Ariel! Let's move on to Ariel. She's certainly looking very pink and proudly broadcasting that female energy. I'm loving the contrast of these blue eyes against the salmon pink of her face. She's also rocking that ponytail from the episode, which is actually detachable if you fancy giving her a haircut. It's on a 5mm peg as well, so she can wield it as a shite mateship weapon if you like. Ariel's head sculpt is giving me a bit of a haunted doll look. I kind of wish she had a bit more of a joyful expression as opposed to this neutral, gaunt, 1,000-yard stare. Cheer up, hen. Ariel is very slender proportion-wise. She's a bit too skinny and delicate for my tastes. Girl needs to thicken up a bit and put some robo-meat on that ass. She feels a little too fragile when you're messing about with her, as her legs are prone to popping off, despite the fact that she's not meant to have a dismemberment gimmick. It just means you can go all out in replicating her and her friend's horrible death. These are the perfect toys for any budding young serial killer. Seemingly like all female Transformers, Ariel is a bit kibble-heavy in the back. She's no Studio Series 86 RC, but is still a little off from her kibble-free look in the War Dawn episode. There are options with the backpack, so you can have it in the standard configuration, or you can detach this wheel and give her some lovely angel wings. How adorable and simultaneously accurate, considering she's not long for this world. Transformation is a weird one, not necessarily a bad one by any means, especially when compared to Dion, but it's not overly intuitive as just to where everything is meant to go. When you're done muddling through though, you're left with this super cute pink motorcycle. I love this. It's so pink and 80s inspired. It reminds me of a girly version of the bike from Akira. Fucking great stuff. Orion Pax! So here he is, like Steve Rogers before the super soldier serum, Popeye before the spinach, or Goatsy before his rigorous anal stretching. It's Orion Pax. Oh, he's just the Studio Series 86 Cup mold again. Shite. I do think this mold suits Orion more than Dion. It really emphasises just how much work Alpha Trion must have done. He really must have had a shit ton of spare parts lying around his workshop, as Orion's base form is about the equivalent of one of Studio Series 86 Optimus's legs. This doomed femboy is rather handsome admittedly. Check out this fresh-faced head sculpt, looking like some kind of mechanical little Lord Fauntleroy. I really like how this guy looks alongside Studio Series 86 Hot Rod for a pre-Matrix Prime comparison. The remoulding and paintwork here are top notch. Your typical Optimus blues and reds are here, along with a lovely splash of solar plexus yellow. I'm loving the chest greeblies. It really makes Orion stand out from the original mould. Speaking of remoulding, feast your eyes on these stylish knee-high boots with these slutty, spiky knee pads. You kinky bitch, Orion. The main thing about this robot mode is just how unassuming it is. It very much captures that average Joe vibe. If this nobody can go on to become Ultra Robot Chad Optimus Prime, it gives all us schlubby losers hope that one day we'll meet a robot Dumbledore and be transformed into someone who isn't dead inside and doesn't wear the same underwear for weeks at a time. Anyways, transformation is just as bad as ever here. Is the end result worth it? No, not really. It's just Cup again, but in red and blue. You're never going to display him in this mode, so why not just skip the awful transformation and just pretend Orion doesn't have a transformation cog like in Transformers 1.
Alpha Trion!
It's Space Robot Gandalf himself, Alpha Trion. It's so good to finally have a figure of this guy. He was such a big part of the G1 continuity, always showing up when some mental lore had to be shoveled out or dishing out some advice from the afterlife, because he died in the second episode he was in, didn't he? Most importantly, he was bloody Optimus Prime's dad. Well, kind of. It's not like he shot his load into some fembot and waited 9 months, but he did build Optimus with his own hands. How is this toy then? Yeah, it's good. It's obviously a remold of Studio Series 86 Scourge, but enough has been changed here to make Big Alpha Trion feel worthwhile. This head sculpt is just perfect. It's bang on to how he appeared in the G1 cartoon. Well, not the War Dawn episode, as he was meant to be merely middle-aged, not as decrepit as this old fuck is. I'm glad they chose his older self though, as it's more his iconic look. Slay, you old bastard. Trion was known for wearing a gentlemanly wee cape, but this kibble on the back here is a bit excessive. All this stuff is here for transformation, which Alpha Trion never did in the show, so he probably would be better off just getting this to fuck. It's not like the figure does much transforming anyway. The Studio Series 86 Scourge mould is the dictionary definition of a shell former, with all this junk in the back enveloping the figure to form this flying bar of soap mode. It's pretty pish, and you would have to be some kind of sick freak to display Alpha Trion like this. I would definitely judge you and conclude you are suffering from some sort of profound Chris Chan level of mental retardation. You also get a Vector Sigma with the Orion Trion A Hero's Born set. It's great if you want a gold disco ball, but it really doesn't do much of anything. There's a tiny key here as well, just like the episode Key to Vector Sigma, funnily enough. It's so small though, you'll probably lose it and it'll just get snaffled up by the Hoover or lodged in a toddler's throat. Hopefully the latter, as we could be doing with less people in the world. I very much support mass sterilisation for the populace at birth, where people would have to apply to the government for the right to have children, and make the process needlessly bureaucratic as well, like at least 10 times as hard as getting a mortgage. Oh, wee Chantel can't push 20 mewling grubby maggot children out of her burst fuckhole anymore. My heart bleeds. So, why did Alpha Trion create Optimus Prime? For that I believe we have to look at the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche. Ancient Cybertron was a place much like present-day Earth. In the Western world at least, we live in a post-religious society. We used to look to our religious leaders to give us meaning, and justify delayed gratification in lieu of the reward of heaven upon death. But now, with the advancement of science in our technologically wondrous world, we can see that religion and God were a lie. There is no universal good or evil. There is no grander meaning to it all. We're just pink meat trapped inside cases of bone. Similarly, after the Quintessons were banished from Cybertron, the Transformers found themselves in a world where there were no concrete moral values. The bonds of slavery were lifted, and they had to learn how to survive with their newly won freedom in an uncaring and indifferent universe. In both cases, this lack of moral certainty inevitably leads to depression and perceived meaninglessness. If there is nothing more than our mundane physical existence, what is the point of anything? Why shouldn't we live for now? Maximise our pleasure in the moment. To hell with creating a fair and just society. Just take what you can and step over everyone to get what you desire. This is certainly the philosophy of Megatron, with his lust for power, his greed and his drive to become a tyrant, dictating his will to those weaker than him. This is where we need the Ubermensch, a modern paragon of moral value. Someone to rescue the masses from nihilism. Someone who will show us how we should live through their enthusiasm, joy and love for life. A hero who will rise from the sea of uncertainty and be a true leader of men in a world where God is dead and we are the true masters of our own destiny in this endless, meaningless void. Someone who will unite everyone and fight to light up the darkness. This is why we need Donald Trump. That Optimus Prime. I'm only kidding. Only joking. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Catch you later.
Like, subscribe, and tell your da. Like, subscribe, and tell your da. Like, subscribe, and tell your da.